So how do you get into public infrastructure? This one's a biggie, especially in 2021, 2020. Poorly secured remote access connections. We use them more and more. Everybody uses them more. VPNs and remote desktop protocol. How do you get in? That's how you get in. It's just too easy.
Yeah, and spoiler to remediate, one thing you can do is two-factor. If it supports two-factor, that really, really helps mitigate those vulnerabilities. You'll have those two access points. We talked about brute force, and we'll talk about it more, and we'll talk about patching, because the Microsoft Exchange thing, that once folks knew about it, there was a patch released within the week.
And botnet-based delivery through compromised devices, the IoT, the Internet of Things, has become just a wonderfully useful thing if you want to break into places. Supply chain attacks, which we'll talk about in some more depth, but the fact is that here we build all of the devices that we ship.
Yeah, here at SecuLore.
At SecuLore. Very few people do that. It's time consuming, it's expensive, it's not worth doing unless you happen to be a security company. So it's really important.
Exactly.
But for most of us, we're not going to build our own webcams. We're just not. So that's why that becomes useful. Malicious email attachments, we'll talk about that. And compromised Active Directory / domain controller. This is part of our standard thing that we tell you. Make sure that you minimize how much access you use on a daily basis.
Yeah, in terms of administrator rights.
The administrators need to be very careful. And I'm hyper aware of that because I'm an administrator here. And one of the things I do is I have to lock my desktop. I have to be very careful that, and I have multiple accounts so that I can only use my administrator account when appropriate. It's very